I'll introduce myself. My name is Eric Zimmerman. I'm a product manager here at Roland DGA for our color products, which we'll go through our product offerings later, and we'll kind of discuss the different types of products that we offer for wide format printing here at Roland. Before we get started into our webinar here, let's go ahead and define exactly what constitutes wide format. There's really no standard definition for it. It used to be in the early days of printing, anything larger than 11 by 17 was considered wide format. Today, generally the minimal size is about 24 inches wide, but still that's just kind of a rule of thumb, and you'll see we do have one product offer that you could consider wide format, but we call it kind of a desktop version that's 20 inches wide. But generally speaking, we're usually start around 30 inches and we progress up to 54 inches and then 64 inches wide. Output larger than 72 inches or 6 feet is usually kind of goes into this category called grand format or sometimes super wide. So today what we're going to do is we're going to focus on that 30-inch to 64-inch range for the most part. So an overview, first things we're going to look at is the economics of wide format. We'll take a look at the ink types, wide format applications and technologies. We'll touch on finishing and software, and then we'll end with some return on investment information. Let's first take a look at economics of wide format. Before we go into that, we'll take a look at commercial printing trends. It's really no secret to anybody involved in the commercial printing industry that business is getting harder over the years. You know, over the past 15 years, commercial printing, it's been adversely affected by decreases in really the overall demand for print. In a digital world, we're seeing more internet advertising and people putting their marketing dollars into websites, more into outdoor advertising. One bright spot, though, is the demand for wide format is increasing, actually. Okay, so this kind of chart kind of shows partial from 2003 forward, but really back from 1998, the printing industry was $130 billion a year industry, and you know, by 2009 it had already dropped to $87 billion, so about $43 billion loss in 11 years. So what are some of the things that you do to strategize to combat a shrinking industry? Well, you could retire. You could look at acquiring other printing companies or being acquired, or maximize your efficiencies and become a commodity printer, or just expand into general marketing. That includes basically everything that you do that doesn't involve print. Or what many people are doing is expanding into wide format or other types of specialty printing. Okay? Now all the above are fairly mutually exclusive strategies, depending on really what your business is doing. But for today's webinar, we're going to focus on that last item, how you can expand into wide format printing. So let's look at the economics of wide format a little bit further. Now we mentioned that wide format was actually on a rise. Let's take a quick snapshot of what that looks like. According to InfoTrends, print service providers with wide format capabilities are very optimistic about not only the industry, but even more optimistic about the growth and success of their own business. Okay? And you can see it's just been on kind of a steady increase. If you're asking that question of 10 being one being not so optimistic and 10 being very optimistic, it's at a high now at almost that number 8. Okay? So the business is thriving, the business is growing. Okay? Then in turn, InfoTrends asked customers and companies who purchase wide format prints, where do they buy their prints? Okay? There's a couple of interesting things about this graph here. Just in 2011, the sign shops and graphic shops far outweighed anyone else. In 2 short years, you can see it's fairly neck and neck between general commercial printers which is actually outweighing the specialty sign shop now, just by 1.5%. And then also copy business. You look at your quick printers. So people in the commercial print industry are already implementing this, and it's a great way to add to your portfolio. Another interesting note on here, and I'll touch on something later on when we go through our resources and I show you under our website. Digital photo website or other internet website. There's a trend to online ordering. It's easy, it's convenient, it can be done after hours. Many times people don't have time to leave and go into a shop, people that are purchasing. So if you have an online cart or shopping system, that is a huge advantage to your business. And we partner with a company called Keen that I'll touch a little bit later on, that provides that, and they come from the commercial print industry, but they have also customized it for Roland end users to include wide format products as well. So there's some interesting news there coming up a little bit later in the webinar. So let's talk about wide format ink types. It's fairly, it can be broken down really into about 4 categories. Okay, the first one being aqueous ink or water-based ink. Okay, now this will provide you with the highest image quality, but being a water-based ink, it has a low durability. It's basically used for high-quality photographic reproduction, images for indoor behind glass use, and there's a limited number of substrates, and they're fairly expensive. So you're looking at kind of your higher-end applications there. Next is solvent ink, just about the absolute opposite of the aqueous ink. Okay, the image quality isn't that great, and there's some safety and health concerns because it's a hard solvent ink, so it requires some ventilation, and you don't want to be working around it too long. It's more of an industrial side, where if you're printing a lot of outdoor advertising, people will use that that solvent ink. It does open up more media, and there is a place for it, but it's usually found in that higher volume, larger, that kind of grand format areas where you start to see solvent, where you see full solvent ink utilized. Then there's eco-solvent ink. This is a near aqueous image quality. There's been leaps and bounds since the introduction of eco-solvent, or you may hear soft solvent ink or mild solvent. There's an extensive range of low-cost substrates. The majority of the signs that you see out there, banners, posters, decals, vinyl stickers, car wraps, are all run on eco-solvent ink. Okay? And there's a strong outdoor durability, and there's no health or safety issues. So wherever you're working right now, you can get an eco-solvent printer, you can roll it in, plug it in, and you're ready to go. And the last one we'll talk about is UV. UV ink is virtually unlimited substrate choices because the way that UV ink goes down, it does not penetrate into the paper. Now I'll back up a little bit and we'll talk about solvent and eco-solvent ink. What happens there is the media that the ink is going on to is heated up, and the ink then embeds itself into the media and then cures there. And that's how it adheres to it. Now with UV ink, what it does is it sits on top and then it's cured immediately with a UV lamp. So realistically, you don't have to have a media that's receptive, like a solvent receptive media. You can print pretty much on anything. There's some great special effects that you can use using gloss ink sets to recreate some embossing. And it's often a flatbed or a hybrid design where you can print directly to the substrate as opposed to printing onto a media and then with perhaps an adhesive back and then transferring or mounting it to the substrate. You can print directly to it. This is really where Roland lives, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is our eco-solvent ink printers, and we'll touch a little bit on the UV and some of the applications that you can do there. and we'll move forward from there. So wide format applications and technologies. Okay, we're going to go through this in kind of a Roland case study, if you will, of where we'll talk about the device and then the applications that it can produce. Okay, so and for more information on this here, you can definitely visit our website, and at the towards the end of the webinar I'll go through and show you kind of all of our sources of where all this information came from. But let's go ahead and talk about Roland's offering for printers. Okay? And these are print-only devices. We do have print and cut devices as well. This is Roland's RE640. It's a 64-inch wide printer. It is great for doing banners, great for backlit displays, and on our higher production, this is our XF640. This is the fastest printer that Roland offers. Depending on your production needs, this can meet them just with one printer, what many people have 3 printers try to accomplish. It prints at close to 1,100 square feet an hour and has beautiful image quality. Works great for fleet graphics, as you can see here, printing adhesive back vinyl to cover the sides of commercial vehicles, printing on canvas as well, and again banners, outdoor banners of all shapes and sizes. Let's talk a little bit about printer cutters. Okay, Roland is mostly known for their print cut solutions, which is an all-in-one solution where we have a plotter or a cut knife on the same print head carriage as our printer. So the machine can go out and print, just as it says here, printer/cutter, can go out and print a graphic, then come back and contour cut around it all on the same machine. So what that offers you is convenience of being able to set up a job, press print, and send it, and walk away from it. It'll print, it'll come back and cut it. And also it's space saving. You can, instead of having a printer and a cutter, you can have it all in one machine and easily implement it right into your location. Now this is where we go back and we mentioned, generally 30 inches. So maybe technically this wouldn't fall into that wide format, but it does carry 20-inch rolls, so I kind of count it. But it can go on a desktop, or there's a stand available for it. It's our BN20, 20 for 20 inch, versus Studio. This is a great printer cutter for doing small labels, decals, short run graphics. Okay, great for add-ins for different clients that you have coming in. Another one that is great is for heat transfer graphics. If you just implement the addition of a heat press to your shop with a BN20, but also with all of our printer cutters, our EcoSolvent ink can print onto a heat transfer material that you can then contour cut and transfer onto apparel. Now this is our VS line, okay, our VersaCam line. I would say by far our most popular line, where it's price pointed and the versatility of the machine is a great starting point. If you're looking to get into and transfer into wide format, this is probably the most solid machine that you can do that you can do it with. It comes in 3 different sizes. It's 30-inch, a 54-inch, and a 64-inch. Our 54-inch is our most popular seller. It meets right there in the middle upper on production size-wise. This is available with CMYK, but also you can have light cyans, light magentas, and metallic ink, as well as white ink. So if you have clients that want clear graphics or they want to have special metallic effects, this printer is fully capable of that as well. Applications, great for doing print cut labels. You can see here that have metallic effects on them. Banners, again, all of our printers and printer cutters are great for doing banners. And also, we found with our specialty inks, with our metallics and our whites, people are using our VSs to make actual prototypes, to where we have different media companies that we've worked with that have material that we can print directly onto and then crimp into, like this bag you see here. So if you have some higher end clients that you're doing printing for, and they want to see an actual prototype, that can happen. Then we'll move into our production machine, our Soljet Pro 4 XR640. This is really our flagship model, our Soljet line of printer cutter. It's a workhorse. It prints at production speed and cuts as well. Once this machine is set up and put on a take-up reel, you can run roll after roll. It's capable of printing and cutting unattended. And application-wise, again, more things that you can visualize doing. Window graphics, vehicle wraps, and this machine is also available with metallic options, white options as well. So you can see there's some metallic effects on this vehicle wrap here. Backlit displays, amongst many, many more. Now we'll touch base on UV printing. Now UV printing, we mentioned earlier, you can pretty much print on any type of substrate. On our smaller specialty side, we have our LEF12, which is a flatbed type printer that can print onto really any surface. A great example is cell phone cases. Okay, but also can print onto regular surfaces if you wanted to print onto golf balls, pens, all sorts of different smaller items, bottle caps. It works great. It prints directly onto the surface. So there's some of those specialty applications. And then this also comes with a gloss ink set, which if you run through the printer 2 or 3 extra passes, it actually prints just clear gloss over the sections that you designate, and it can make like an emboss where you see these snowflakes. They can actually jump up and have a texture off of the cell phone case. And now we look at our LEC line. There's a 300, a 330, and a 540. So it comes in 30-inch as well as 54-inch. And this is a roll-to-roll, and it is a printer cutter. But it's UV. So you can run all sorts of different type of media through it, as you can see from the sample here down in the front. And you can run a perf cut, to where if you run some cardstock material through, you can actually perf cut and create the actual prototype, where it's great for proofing, where you can have your flat graphic and you can take a look at it if that's the workflow that your client's looking for. Also prints on shrink wrap material, where you can actually take that material and wrap it onto the finished product and show that as a prototype. And using that perf cut, you can print onto a surface, put a perf cut around it, and actually fold it up into the packaging that before it goes to production, and show them prototype what it will exactly look like. And lastly, we have our LEJ640. It's a 64-inch hybrid printer, which means with hybrid you can, if you roll those tables away, you can actually use it roll to roll. So if you want to put rolled media on it, or with the tables, you can feed a 4x8 substrate straight through and print directly onto it. Okay? As you can see by what's going on here. And that's great for, again, POP, point of purchase displays. This champagne bottle is an example of what that clear can do, where you see the water droplets or the champagne droplets rolling down. I've gone back and printed with the clear media over just those sections there to create that texture to where you can touch and feel it, and it actually comes right off of the board. Okay, so let's touch on finishing. We've seen what different applications the printer can do, but many times where the money is in the finishing, is to complete the product, and there's a lot of different ways you can finish depending on what you're printing. I'm just going to touch on, we'll say, the top 3 or 4 that you generally come along. Now, this information is coming from a white paper that was put out by What Do They Think, and I'll reference it. I'll show you how to get a hold of that a little bit later on in the webinar. That goes into more detail of all the different types of finishing you can do. It goes into more detail on really everything that we're discussing here. So if you want to read more on that, I'll show you how to get a hold of that, and you can go into the ins and outs of the details there. But finishing, realistically, many times when you just say finishing, people immediately say, well, that just means laminating. And that is one of the things. That's one of the main things, where if you're doing say you're doing a vehicle graphic, you definitely want to laminate your vehicle graphic for abrasion. Once that graphic covers the whole vehicle, people take it. Fleet graphics, people run into trees all the time. Can protect it from some of the scratching, or people take it through brush car washes. This will provide, there are UV laminates can provide a little bit more outdoor life for graphics. Take a look at floor graphics. There's a lot of different types of laminates for that to allow people to walk over, scuff it up, and then it can just be cleaned, with a mop. So finishing is an important part. It's also an upsell item. Many people will include it into their pricing and laminate everything. Other people will say, I'm going to offer it as a premium, depending on what you're doing. It's a great offering, and it's a great way to churn your product from just a print into something that's so much more. And also mounting. All right? Depending on what the graphic is, you're going to want to put it onto a rigid substrate. If it's just a poster, you can laminate it and it can be off. Many times, graphics will want to be mounted onto boards. There's Sintra PVC boards. There's graphics that get mounted directly onto acrylic, clear acrylic, colored acrylic. Then there's gator board, foam core, many different types of things that you can mount onto. And then on the banner side of things, you look at grommeting, finishing off a banner with reinforced eyelets, usually in every corner and then every 2 feet across the top and bottom, or the sides, depending on how long it is, provides that easy-to-hang options for people and the versatility that they're looking for in that banner. And then hemming. Many times people will either stitch, or depending on the number of banners, there's all sorts of banner tapes and different ways that you can seal it down without having to actually hem it. And those are all finishing things that you want to be able to provide for your customer. Pole pockets as well. Those are great for those if you look back to the street signs, the street banners light pole banners that were an example back, I think, with maybe the RE640. That's a great example of pole pockets. And many times those are stitched, or depending on the volume, those can also be done with a banner tape type application. So let's talk about software. All right. Now, software for our Roland machines is compatible with all the major design software. So if you're printing or if you're designing in Illustrator, Photoshop, all your Adobe products, even InDesign, or let's say maybe you're designing with CorelDRAW. Anything that you can save as a PDF or an EPS or even a JPEG or TIFF, you can drag directly into Roland VersaWorks print and rip management software. Okay. Now, VersaWorks comes with every one of our machines, okay, and it runs all of our machines. So if you were to scale up your business, you could run up to 4 from each workstation. So if you build your business up from 2 to 3 to 4 printers, you can run them all from one station. After that, you do get a license with each each new product, so you can set up multiple stations after that. It's very user-friendly, I'll say, and one of the things that Roland offers when a authorized Roland dealer sells you a printer, they will come in and not only set up the printer for you, they'll train you on this software. And then we have lots and lots of resources as well through our website and through your local authorized dealers to keep you up to speed on the latest and greatest things that are happening with VersaWorks. But it can manage color. It includes inside of it a Pantone digital library that's accessible. So if you have clients that are designing and putting Pantone spot colors in their design, when you pull it up in the RIP, it will recognize those Pantone colors. I will be honest and say it might not match every single one of them, but it will let you know exactly how close it's going to get, and that's all inside of the RIP. And if you need to change it and adjust it a little bit, you can do it inside with a click of a button. It's as easy as clicking one swatch and clicking another to substitute a color so it's a closer match. You don't have to go back into the person's design. It's very straightforward pre-flighting. Okay? You can nest jobs, put them together so they fit the best on the roll. Also, there's variable data available. So if you have clients that are doing multiple graphics or similar graphics with different variable data, we can incorporate that right into it as well. Of course, there are other RIP softwares available out there, depending on what your needs are. Our printers work with all of the majors in our industry, and I won't go into too much detail there, but if you have further interest, certainly you can talk to a dealer about it, and they can guide you into what the different things you can look for, depending on what your needs are. So the big question, why get into wide format? Okay. Well, print buyers need output. We saw that in the earlier slide. More importantly, I think it allows you to control the relationship. Okay? These initially they'll be clients that that you're already dealing with. That maybe you're the first stop for them, and then they're going on to their sign person or their wide format person or so on and so forth. You can make it more of that one stop. And of course, there's money to be made, be it banners, be it storefront, window graphics. There's money there. Okay? So print buyers need wide format graphics. Okay? So here's another thing from InfoTrends here. How many times a year does your company buy wide format graphics? Okay, so we reached out to customers. 64% of the buyers purchase at least quarterly. Okay, so your clients probably purchase the same amount from you on the print side, if not more. Okay, so being able to capture more of those dollars coming through your door is a great option. Okay, and what do they buy? A lot of them are buying banners, posters, signs, but as you go down the list, from photographs to decals all the way down to backlit displays and jumping down to textiles and proofing, anything and everything you can think of, vehicle wraps, packaging, all of these applications can be produced on one Roland printer. Okay? And I have like a testimonial here at the end, and I'll show you kind of some pictures of one of our Roland end users who was a printer that added it on and all the different great things that they made. But most importantly, you control the relationship. You have that customer ownership. Okay? Your sales, your customer service, credit terms, delivery, artwork, all the things that you're controlling now, you'll control just by adding in. It's a new product. Okay? And like it says down there at the bottom, you're the first call. You can be the only call. Okay? They're stopping in to get their printed collaterals, and you now have all those other things to offer. And this is an interesting graph here. What's the most common turnaround times that are required for wide format graphics? Just about half of the jobs are done in a day or less. Okay? And I'm going to show you some ROI information on just some typical jobs that would come through in a day. Not saying that they take an entire day to print. Most of them take less than 4 hours of printing. And you can kind of get a feel for the different types of products that you can add in and a quick turnaround. There's money to be made. Let's look at the ROI. Typical jobs, banners. Okay? Customer comes in and orders 5 4x8 banners. It's about 160 square feet of printing. Okay? So your cost on media is about 22 cents per square foot, and your ink is about 20 cents per square foot. So your total cost of goods is about $67, and your typical selling price is about $4 per square foot. Okay? So you're looking at $640 selling price. So your margin, your gross margin, is about $573. Okay? Off a cost of goods and $573 gross margin is a great starting point for printing 5 banners that will take about, let's look at a scenario of a VS540, most popular versatile printer. You'll be able to print these banners out in about an hour, about maybe an hour and a half. So that'll give you an idea. Let's look at posters. Okay. 25 18 by 24 posters. Okay, it's about 75 square feet. Okay, the cost of media is about 25 cents per square foot, and cost of ink is about 20 cents per square foot. So total cost is $33.75. Posters sell at about $5 per square foot. So your gross margin on that is about $416, and that's about an hour's worth of printing, depending on what printer you're running. If you were running our production XF640, it would print that in less than a half hour. Let's look at decals. Print and cut decals. You can look at the decal that's put onto this Happy Birthday Susie here, or even onto the sparkling cider bottle there. Okay, 2-inch by 3-inch decals. That's about 33 cents per square foot, and about 20 cents per square foot for ink. So total media and ink costs about $10.65 for 500 of those labels. All right, you sell them for about a quarter a piece. That's $125. It's about $114 for print and cut decals. Now let's take a look at a testimonial here. There's so much neat opportunity with digital printing. Your creativity is the only thing that holds you back. Our clients are hungry for new ideas we bring. And that's from John Long, the owner of Allegra and Castleton. Let's take a look at some of the things that John has printed. Window graphics, full coverage. Now that's on a window perf, so from the inside you're looking out and it looks like it's just a window tint or perhaps a screen. Event graphics for a marathon in the area. Did all of the banners for that. Office graphics, also things at the airport, digital print as wall covering and wall art. To vehicle graphics, and even wrapped an entire boat. So John's had a lot of interesting opportunities that have come through his door just by adding this digital print capability. Okay, everything from the sign on the wall here to wrapping the entire ice cream cart to the banners on the wall behind it that you see there. So a lot of different creative things to where, Sundays Made from Home probably printed that collateral or the menus for it, and then offered this as an extra service there. And another advantage of having that digital printer in-house is he's kind of practiced what he preached here, and you can see from his meeting room or his boardroom as designed, where he's got the graphics, his logo on the table, and also has his mission statements put onto clear plexiglass, and the cut graphics onto the wall and also wrapped his entire vehicle. So now that when they're out doing deliveries, he has that moving billboard. It's not only advertising his business, but now it's also advertising a product that he can make. And every single one of these graphics was done on a Roland printer, just one printer. Introduced one printer into his lineup, and I believe it now counts for about 15 to 20% of his business. Whoops. Okay, so let's take a look at some resources here, and I'm going to break away from the PowerPoint here to kind of go through where you can find the information that was in this webinar. First is from what they think, from a white paper that was written, and I'll show you how to access that, and then InfoTrends, and also our website. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so whattheythink.com. Right on the home page, if you look over to the right there, there's wide format printing opportunities for commercial printers. Okay, you click right on that to get your free white paper, and it's going to ask you some information here from an online form, and you'll get that white paper sent over to you. Okay, it's going to allow you to, all of the things that we talked about and highlighted on, there's detailed information on that. It goes into more detail on ROI, more detail on again finishing, on applications, on inks and substrates, and different things to consider. So that is a good source of information to help you move forward in your decision process. Okay, so whattheythink.com and wide format printing opportunities for commercial printers. Click right on that on the right hand side. Okay. Also InfoTrends. InfoTrends has a ton of information on everything and anything you can think of. Many of the things you'll want to be a member to log in for, but just taking a look at their blogs and postings on there is lots of information on all things printing, as well as all things wide format. And then, of course, there is our Roland website. Now, it's Roland DGA, which stands for Digital Group America. Digital Group Americas, I should say. And that'll cover the printers that we talked about, can all be found in here. Large format printers, printer cutters. And you can find detailed information on each one of our printers, where you click on, and there's videos to watch, there's overviews, there's features, there's applications, there's specifications, brochure information, and then accessories that come along with it. And then, of course, technical support. You can get some of your frequently asked questions right from the website. And then we also have tech service available for after your purchase if you have any questions on it. And then, of course, there's your dealer. Now, to find a dealer in your area and you want more information, you can click on Find a Dealer, find by zip code, find by city, or if you have been recommended for a dealer, and select a product, different things that you want to, that you're interested in. And that will give you the information for the dealer closest to you. A couple other great things on our website. There's a lot of information on our website. If we scroll down to the bottom, what we talked about here earlier was an online type solution. Is we have partnered with a company called Keen that allows you to have an online business presence, and you can read up more on that there. There's also a 60-day free trial for Roland users. So if you do make a decision to purchase a Roland product, I would definitely look to implementing that, either adding it into your existing website or starting a website for your new opportunities. All right, so there's plenty of information there on our website. Be sure to look at InfoTrends, and be sure to download, again, that white paper from whattheythink.com. Okay, so we have a few minutes here that we can address some questions, so I'd like to open it up and see if you have any questions. You can type them into the question box. I have a question here actually from Mark that says online the cost per square foot is under $2. Mark, yeah, there's probably an average online. What I did was I took it's hard to quantify exactly what a square foot price is going to be. With the ROI examples that I did there, I did quantify exactly. We probably put an average of under $2 per square foot. Some things are going to be less depending on what the media is. Some things could be more. We kind of average out to say about 23, 24 cents a square foot for ink. There could be less. One of the things about our RIP software is it allows you to actually process a job beforehand and then go into a job log before it's ever been printed, and it'll calculate how much ink is going to be used. Then you calculate depending on what the media cost is. We do have a media line, and that's what we used our banner media, our vinyl for the print and cut, and our excuse me, our paper for the poster. Our media is priced different than others, so you could find more economical price on media. You could find a price that could actually be more. So it's just going to depend on that. But those factors that we showed here are kind of real case scenarios, and then you'll get into more generalization when you see things online. Hope that helped. Okay, Santiago had a question. I'm looking for a printer that's 3.2 meters long, but I don't see that kind of distance. Yeah, Santiago, when you're looking at 3.2 meters, we're looking at more of a grand format type printer. Today, our webinar is really talking about wide format, which goes to out to about 64 inches. So you probably want to look at some different offerings to get into that grand format. Okay, Zoltan asks, is there a model, speed, square foot, quality, media type chart available? If you take a look, Zoltan, on our website where I showed each printer, you can take a look at the specifications. If you click on each one of our printers, there's a specification section that can give you all of that information there. Okay, and the media types that are on there, as far as speed and square foot and quality, it shows a banner speed and it shows a vinyl speed. Okay, so and that kind of averages out to that puts you in the ballpark of what you're going to be able to get, really, no matter what media you're using, vinyl-wise or banner-wise. Miguel asked a question: what is the difference between sublimation and solvent printers? Great question. Okay, Miguel, a sublimation printer uses an aqueous-based ink, a water-based ink, and generally what happens with that is it's printed onto a sublimation transfer paper, and it's used for usually textile printing, or sublimating onto a fabric that's going to be cut and sewn from there. So a sublimation printer will print aqueous onto the transfer paper, then it gets transferred onto whatever textile that it's going to be used, and heat transferred into that material, and then that's the end product. Now with solvent printing, solvent is printing directly onto the substrate that's going to be used as a graphic. Okay, so there's no transfer involved there, and and the way solvent ink works is it's a solvent base. So what needs to happen there is that it's then heated up, and the media is heated up, and through the chemical reaction, the two blend together, and that creates that durability of the actual product. So what you're printing on with a solvent printer is the actual finished product, where with sublimation, it goes onto a transfer, then goes on to another media. Santiago had a follow-up question. In finishing, do you have a machine for grommeting or for pole pockets? And if so, where can I see it? We do not have products for finishing. There are a lot out there. There are a lot of different types of grommeting. There's hand grommeting presses. There's automated grommeting presses. And as far as for pole pockets, there's a lot of different techniques that you can use. The best way for you to see it is to talk to the dealer that you're going to buy the printer from. Okay, so go ahead and go onto our website and look at that dealer, the dealer finder, and put in your information there, and we'll find someone that's closest to you, and they will be able to kind of walk you through what you're looking at doing. We manufacture the actual machines, and on the finishing side, that's where our dealers come in, because our dealers will sell our machines, but they'll also sell all the different medias and finishing products and all the different things that you would need for that. And Bob asks, when will Roland introduce the latest print cut with Max 2 inks in 54-inch? Bob, I don't see anything on the horizon as of yet. I think it's going to be a 64-inch printer. But as soon as I know, hopefully I would know first, I will let you know. But I think for now we're going to be at that 64-inch. Then asks, what is the second group of printer cutters that you showed? The second group of printer cutters that I showed was our VS line. Let me go back to that real quick. Or actually, you know what I can do is, let's pull it up on the website. Hold on one second here, and we will we'll go to our VS line. Okay, so our VersaCam series line, again, it is our it's our fastest selling line. One of the benefits of it is where it's price pointed is great, and it's a great introductory printer, I should say. If you're looking at a first printer / cutter, this machine really does it all. It's the most versatile machine that we have, offering several different types of ink configurations depending on what you want to do. It prints and cuts, and it's available with specialty inks, white inks, metallic inks if you want to do some things to differentiate yourself from your competitors down the street. And I recommend you, Mark, come to the website at Roland DGA and click through these videos here. I won't do them. I won't show them on here because of the bandwidth that we have. There'd be a bit of a delay on it, but I encourage everyone to go and take a look at these videos. But also then dig down into here, where you can dig down into the features and the applications and the specs and all the information that you need there. Mark has a good follow-up question. Are the ink options you mentioned, white and metallic, easily interchangeable job to job? How simple is it to change out different materials, and is there much waste? Mark, as far as the white and metallic ink goes, you can see how it's, if you take a look up on the upper, I would say right-hand side, but left-hand facing side of the printer where the ink cartridges are, you can see this is set up where there's a white and a metallic on the right-hand side where the cartridges are. Okay, what you do is you don't change the ink in and out. The inks are always in there, but you will pick a specific profile that comes inside of our Roland VersaWorks that will establish whether it's going to be printing metallic, or if it's white, it would be on a clear. If you're printing something that doesn't have metallic, you select a different profile that's just for CMYK, and it won't print out that ink. Okay. And as far as waste goes, there's minimal waste. There's only with medias you're going to run a quick nozzle test, which takes about 2 inches into the media, and then maybe a couple other tests that take only up about an inch, depending. Those are things that you can save as well. And swapping out the media, it's just a roll in the back, very easy to load and unload. And I encourage you again to take a look at the construction and media handling video that's on the website. That's right there, I think, fourth one over. Okay. And then a follow-up question from Mark on that is, so you don't change out the colors, what's the maximum number of ink slots? Maximum number of ink slots is 8. Okay, so if we look at our ink configurations here on the picture, it's set up with CMYK, also a light cyan and a light magenta and a metallic and a white. There are other configurations that you can do as well. You can do just a dual CMYK if you say I'm not going to be printing white, I'm not going to be printing metallic. You can do CMYK, light cyan, light magenta, just those 6 colors, and have those light colors that will help with gradients and smoother finish on that if that's what you're looking for. Or you can set it up with just white only. So it's really versatile depending on which way you want to go. It just depends on what your applications are. So you want to ask yourself that question before you set up your ink configuration: is what are we going to do? What are we going to be doing the most of? Okay, Miguel had a follow-up question on, I've heard of banner printing in sublimation. Is that possible? And how does solvent sublimation compare in terms of durability? It depends on what you're sublimating onto. It's more of, you're going to sublimate onto like a soft signage type solution, a fabric type solution. It's a little bit different than the vinyl banners that we typically print here. There are soft signage medias that do accept eco-solvent ink. The sublimation will, depending on the application, probably not last as long if it's an outdoor type thing, but it's really going to depend on what the application is for. And the other thing is that with sublimation, you're going to limit your media that you're going to be able to run on, just because it has to be receptive to the sublimation ink, where there's a wider base of media with solvent. If you're going to be printing a lot of fabric banners, solvent or sublimation is probably the way to go, if that's the only type of application you're going to be doing. But if you want to get into other things and have more versatile, I think that eco-solvent would probably be a better solution for you. All right. Zoltan asked if we have a comparison table for Fuji and Agfa printers. That's one that you're going to want to talk to your dealer about. Take a look at a Roland certified dealer in your area and have them compare it to the other machines. They should have that information for you. And I'm assuming that we're looking at flatbed technology on that. So ask them about that, and they'd be able to walk you through that. Okay, Troy asked, what is the drying time to actual use delivery? Thanks. Troy, depending on what you're going to be using it for, it dries fairly quickly. If you're going to be laminating, you're going to want to allow a little bit of time to outgas. That's one of the things where the solvent goes in, heats up. There's that chemical reaction to allow it to adhere to the media, and then as it dries up or it gasses out, the extra gas that comes out of there, you want to have that come out before you laminate it. So depending on what you're going to be doing, you want to wait a few hours before you laminate it. But if you're just doing, if it's just going to be ready to go, once it's dry, it's pretty much dry, and it can outgas along the way on delivery. For window cling, Mark asks, is there any finishing required, or are they good to go off the printer? Can you do the cling for outside and inside the window? Right reading outside? Let's see. There is really, for window cling, there's really no finishing that's needed. Obviously, for if you're going to be printing on a clear window cling, and let's say you're going to be putting down white and then putting CMYK over it, you could definitely reverse print it, so it will be right reading outside. What you'll do with that is you'll put down the CMYK first, and then you'll put the white behind it, and you'll do it in reverse, and then you cling it second surface or right reading outside. So yeah, that can absolutely be done. And what also that will do is then that will seal the graphic. If you have the graphic printed on reverse and you lay it onto the inside of the window, it'll protect it because the actual media will act as its own laminate. And Mark, yeah, I can retouch on, he asked it, did you explain the difference between eco-solvent and UV inks? Yeah, I can retouch on that. The eco-solvent, again, is it heats up a solvent-receptive media, and it actually puts the ink into the media with a chemical reaction, and it adheres like that. Now with a UV ink, what a UV ink does is it can go really onto any media. It's because it lays down on top of the media, and then there's a UV lamp that comes along right after it and cures it immediately. Okay, so one goes into the media and becomes part of that material. The other sits right on top and is dried with the lamp. Robert asks, great question. What is the outdoor life of the eco-solvent ink that comes with the Roland VersaCam? And how many years is the ink rated in the sun? We rate it for 3 years outdoor life. You can get more out of it, or you can get less out of it. I will say that, depending on where you are. If you're out in Arizona and it's in the sun every single day, you'll probably get a little bit less out of it. Unless it's on a side that's not super sun facing. But our inks are backed for 3-year outdoor life. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up. I sure do thank you for all of your questions and your interest in the webinar. And again, feel free to visit our website and find out more information there. We'll send you a follow-up email with also a link to this recording, so if there's anything you want to go back and look on here, you can do that, and some more information about our company. Make sure to go to What They Think, again, whattheythink.com, and download that free white paper that'll give you more detail there, and also take a look at InfoTrends for all your latest news in printing and wide format. Okay, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a productive day.